tell the media the truth of what was going on down there. And we would meet weekly at our local Newman Center. And all of a sudden this guy showed up. And he had on a beard, and he was real quiet, dressed very nicely, and he just sat there and took notes. And we let him come for a couple of meetings, and then we decided, we met outside of him and said, let's confront him. Let's find out who he is, because we thought he was an informant. So we confronted him. We said, you know, who are you? Why are you here? Where do you come from? We've never seen you in town before. And he said, oh, my name's John, and I'm here because I'm interested. He never came back. So we really think he was an informant. Wasn't very smart, but...
Yeah. So I guess that's it. It's a non-violent, naive. I think any group that defines itself, a non-violent group, should have that term non-violent in the opening sentence. This is where we are, and you could say, you know, we're going to overthrow. We don't overthrow anything. We're not a threat to you, except this way of thinking is threatening.
What, if anything, I mean, let's go back 60 years, what, if anything, you think, given similar situations, Gandhi would have done? I mean, had he known him, look, FBI's here. I mean, what would he do? Like, let it be.
I don't think he'd turn on him. I don't think he'd be...
I think he'd be like Brian and invite him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Change anything.
Because he did. He engaged the English militia and judges in the courts.
We have a friend who was a Methodist missionary in Argentina during the Dirty Little War. And he's a Methodist minister, and he was doing Bible study with us. And when the sheep and the tares parable came up, Gil was always very interesting because he put the gospel into his perspective always was that Jesus was the leader of a clandestine undercover movement to overthrow the Romans. And so everything he saw was through that lens. And he said the sheep and the tares, you know, the guy plants weeds among the wheat, and what are we supposed to do about it? And the farmer says to his hands, wait until the harvest. If we try to pull the weeds up now, we'll pull up the wheat. And his interpretation of that was that Jesus was speaking in code. that his disciples were recognizing there were infiltrators among them, and he couldn't talk about it openly, and neither could his disciples. You know, we got some weeds in here, wink, wink. And he's saying, you know, we'll sort this out later, because if we try to figure out who's the plant and who's on the up and up and who isn't, we can destroy the fabric of our society. And I've had a couple experiences of one was pretty innocuous. This peace walk that was going, this was in the early 80s, going across the country. And why anybody thought that they would be infiltrated, I don't know. But they were really very, very suspicious, and they lost a lot of friends because they'd be walking, so they'd be meeting new people. And people would come and say, you know, it happened to me, it happened to other people. People would ask questions and say, they just try to find out what's going on, and to introduce themselves. And these walls would go up, and they'd ask grilling kind of questions to try to figure out who you really are, who you say you are, and everything. And the suspicion was so high that I really felt like this group was doing counterproductive what their stated message was, because they weren't planning any civil disobedience or anything. It's like, you know, I couldn't imagine any harm that could have come to this group by having